Amen.
Chapter 6. Do you ever walk normally? Faith asked. And it was good to hear Eve's sonorous voice again. I normally walk like this. Do you walk like this in your lecture hall? Everywhere, honey. I can't believe I'm having this inquisition. In the ensuing silence, Eve led Faith to the ornate outer door to her boudoir. The door was an elaborate frame with classical floral relief in gold. It was obvious that her father's entitlement as a police sergeant who died on active duty could not sponsor this breathtaking door. There was a replica of the oval-shaped painting, the Turkish Bath, in the middle of the beautiful and imposing white door. Faith stood there, staring at the painting, trying to count the women in the harem. About 24 women without any inhibitions, including the musicians and the dancer. Faith noticed a lady in the harem touching her mate intimately, so she took a step backward and glanced at Eve. Another case from this exquisite beauty could be too steamy a vortex. Why is the past always stalking the present? After getting involved with Ibadan, her first and only boyfriend, she had taken a long walk with Joe Macho and told her that she preferred guys. She had not looked back nor visited Josephine Senayon since then. This is what men want of us. Eve sliced into Faith's unease. They just want us waiting for them, naked and available on demand. As ticklish feathers for their egos, and as crutches for their insecurities. One woman can sniff away a gang of men in one night, and yet the wisest of men usurped the lives of 1,000 women for his libido. That is the irony of a woman's existence in the chronicles of men. Faith was uncomfortable with the seriousness in Eve's voice. You said you were a prostitute. Can you be a feminist at the same time? Once you recognize marriage for what it is, an instrument of dominating women, and you reject it totally, you're free and equal to men. You only lose that equality when you succumb to the foolishness of marriage. I'm angry with women for throwing themselves at men as wives, but for marriages will all be equal by now. Any man who dares to infringe on my rights in any way will live to regret it. You're joking, aren't you? You mentioned mermaid a while ago. Witches, sirens, priestesses, lamia, Amazons, prostitutes have one thing in common. They are icons of unease for men. The women who have combined their mental powers with their disarming physical potentials to control events in their environment have always been stigmatized. Men are fearful creatures. Against all the odds, women have been breaking down barriers to emerge queens, bosses, captains, and presidents over men. Brute force can be controlled by economic power. The brain is ascending over the brawn. Therefore, the rise of women is inevitable. Just like water wears away rocks over time, the true worth of women is gradually emerging from centuries of lies, half-truths, and tags like bitches and witches. Faith was uncomfortable with the subject matter. She always avoided gender issues and was persuaded that the so-called inequality was decreed by God. Her mother said so. She never argued with her father, and there was peace in their home. Moreover, there were eminent women like her vice-chancellor, who was proud to be woman, mother, professor, and ivory tower boss. Aspire to be like these models. No need argue with men. Her mother said so, and she was confused. I have not heard anyone calling our VC either of those two names, Faith said. How about Iron Lady? Eve replied. That is not like praising her, isn't it? Interesting. If you look under the sheets, you will realize that pharaoh's title refers to a witch who's also a bitch. If you have the ears, you will hear echoes of the Inquisition. Who are the Iron Lords, among her fellow vice-chancellors? Margaret Thatcher was once described as headstrong, obstinate, and dangerously self-opinionated. Dangerously, mark you. What does that tell you? To bridge the gap between the ideas that were lazy and wasteful dating back to Greek myths, men just have to mix some iron in ladies to explain our proven leadership qualities. And you think they're praiseworthy? Have you heard them calling Ronald Reagan an Iron Lord? Men are condescending when they brand us. They're always eager to say things with hidden barbs about us, when the usual bitch or witch would be obviously disingenuous. Are you trying to convert me? I just don't want your mother's opinion to be all you ever heard. I never mentioned anything about my mother's opinion, so you're up to something, aren't you? Please don't tell me my mother's opinions are written on my face. And what would you rather believe, honey? Witchcraft? Listening to the mind? What is that? Are you for real? Be careful what you believe. Men in the toga of priests, prophets, and princes created two name tags, bitches and witches, as excuses for beheading millions of talented women. How many wizards were handed down? What does the ratio say? Women are more prone to evil. Which gender has the trophy for wanton destruction and massacres? And what do we call men who leave sorrow, tears, and blood in their trails? Patriots and heroes. And we, who are victims of their unending intrigues, get to choose between bitches and witches, unless we're married like your beloved mother. Please, can we ice this topic? Faith requested. The door opened and Eve led Faith into a broad corridor. Both walls of the corridor were concealed completely by mirrors. There were paintings of gorgeous ladies from past centuries. The works were framed with the same ornate gold design. This was a gallery of ladies in ancient clothes. Names were gilded under the images, but none of them was familiar, except Bathsheba taking a bath. The first was the relief of the statue of a beautiful lady without arms. Venus de Milo was gilded beneath. There used to be a body cream by that name. Faith was about to move to the next work when Eve started a story. The Greek called her Aphrodite, goddess of beauty, love, pleasure, and procreation. In the beginning, therefore, men acknowledged that women had qualities to be idolized. The Romans called her Venus. The real work is in the Louvre Museum in Paris. My first lecture under Dr. Brown started in front of this famous statue in Paris. 3 days after I dreamt of wedding rings pouring into my bowl, I, a slum dweller, found myself in an aircraft and landed in France. Looking out through the window from my room in the luxurious Hotel du Louvre on the bank of the Seine, my vision of the world exploded into a million sparks and a new magical feel of existence emerged. That flight and a night of 5-star view of Paris turned me into a sponge, eager to soak in all I could from Dr. Brown's incredible font of knowledge. In the morning, Dr. Brown led me to this statue. If they could worship her, she whispered to me, you can make them worship you. How do I mentor you from a Morocco mood to a celestial being like Venus? There's no way on earth. You have to catch the fire from inside you to ignite passion wherever you appear. There are other ladies, flesh and blood, in this wonderful museum and other places whose stories should inspire you.